I'm making this video because I wanted to see this knife, and well, there's just very little information on it out there on the interweb. So it is the Case RW 100. Product quality information, some information about the creator, Roland Welker, and we have the stats. Leather sheath, generous belt loop, tie-offs, if you're the type who likes to attach it to your thigh. Interesting. Premium fan gear. Advertisement. Okay, so here's the knife itself. My hand from side to side is 4 1/4 inches. I wear a 2XL glove. So I've got what people would call man hands. And this is a generous handle. It's narrow, but not so much that it's a problem. And the way they've stepped the grips, it looks like they're machined kind of like a router would route around, but in 3 different stages. Actually, that's 4 different stages. And then the center is also routed out. So it's got good grip, really good grip. It does have jimping. I know a lot of people like it, a lot of people don't like it. It's never bothered me. I've never been one to smash my tools ignorantly, so I've never had one break from just having jimping. There's a lanyard hole. It's a good length. I like that it's narrow and has a nice point. Seems like a lot of knives these days, when you start getting longer, they get real tall, and that really inhibits the usability of the knife for so many things. For example, making notches. If you're into any kind of outdoorsy stuff, this is just a little sample of some of the stuff you do on a tri-stick or out in the woods. And here's a smaller one. I do these for fun. I'm a wood carver, so I carve animals and caricatures and people and all sorts of stuff. But whenever I get a knife, I like to do one of the notches that's kind of, I would say, more difficult for clearance, because if you can't get into tight spaces with the tip design and edge geometry, then it's not going to suit you very well for your more complicated carving tasks that you may want to do. Not always necessary if you're just out, camping or whatever. You may not ever have to do that. But if you carve already, which I know a lot of us do, whether it's spoons or kukskas or caricatures, or just woods roosters, whatever. This has a bunch of notches, and they've each been done by a different knife. So I did them all in succession, and so every single one I could tell which did better than the other. And in the end, when you get down to the ones, if you set them off to the side, the ones that noticeably did well, you can go over just those and then really dial in your preference on what works good for you and for the task at hand. Now, just to go over these stats, because people will go nuts if I don't, especially with them sitting right here. This blade is 6 1/4 inches long, and overall it's 11.16. It has a flat grind with a nice secondary. It is well sharpened. It has a toothy edge, which is really handy for all things. Natural micarta, and it's left sandblasted from the looks of it, so that it's extra grippy. The finish is stone washed, so it's going to hide scratches and whatnot pretty well. Brass pins. You do have some of the tang sticking out of the back. I'm not one to hammer on stuff because I'm not going to risk damaging my hand out in the woods. There's always a stick or a rock to use that will get your hand out of the equation. Let's see here. It's kind of bulky, but I gotta say it does the job. And it's hard to get any simpler in form. If something were to go wrong on this, it would be easy to mend it in the woods. But I doubt, given all the rivets they've used to strengthen it, that it will ever have an issue. I kind of wondered if there'd be a plastic insert, and I can't feel one. Now, I have previously purchased the smaller one that they're calling the RW Caper, and I gotta say, that is a phenomenal tool. It also has jimping, natural micarta, brass pins, lanyard hole, stone wash finish with a grind that is suitable for pretty much any task you could ever need. It'll do, it's a saber grind, so it kind of fills the niche of everything and does most things well. This one on the RW100, however, has a much higher grind. It is still a thick, looks like 3/16 steel, so if you're one of those types that likes to baton, it's going to do it. It's got the length and the thickness to split things very well. This thing weighs 9.5 ounces. This has a 4.1 inch blade on the caper, 8.6 inches overall, and weighs 6.25 inches. There's the two together. I'd say they complement each other well. Set that to the side. Okay, the sheath is almost identical to this other one in style. It's not squared on the bottom, but same sort of sandwich type. I'm going to set up some comparable sized options here that people will recognize. This is a Falcon S1X, just for comparison. Maybe I can get y'all a little closer without killing you. This is an LT Wright G&S. Most people know what that is. And a more Garberg, people know what that is. Now, something that maybe not everybody has, but might have seen, is the most comparable purchased blade that I have is the Condor Low Drag, and that is going to be the same size as far as, you know, most of your proportions. Now, it's getting breezy. The Benchmade Anonymous is maybe another one that people might know. So you can see the extra length. On the most common knives that people that go camping a lot use, what they consider bushcraft these days, I'm in my 40s, so things have changed lingo-wise. It seems that it's a little bit bigger in length. Things are growing, I think, because of the whole bushcrafting craze with using your knife as an axe, I guess. Now, a knife, as far as the style goes, that just to show you, I've always been a fan of this type of design with the narrow, long blade. This is a custom one right here by Casey Cleveland. I'm not too far from him. He's a custom knife maker. He was on that, well, he was on both of those knife shows. But knife or die, forged in fire, those things. Now I'm sure you'd like to see this thing cut something. We can do that. This one's getting kind of long though. Might need to make a separate video on that. Now, the long sweeping original Tanto design lends itself very well to doing things in the woods like your notches, because it's narrow enough at the tip to get in there and do all that. Whereas something that's like this low drag, for instance, is going to have a much harder time doing the finer work. It's not only got a thicker behind the edge geometry, but its width here is what makes a big difference in being able to do your finer tasks, especially when you start talking things this small. Now, if you had both of these, this one's even better. Being a wood carver, I tend to always have some type of sloyd knife. And so when you get down to real fine stuff and you've already taken the bark off and gotten all the nasty gritty stuff off, you can get to a much finer edge, true zero, without having any issues here. And look at how much finer that is, even on something like that. But when you talk about the low drag, now let's get down to this one. Look at how close that is on the RW caper. That's what makes this a phenomenal knife. And then for your bigger tasks, when you're messing with deer, I like to go ahead and go around the deer anus all the way around and go through the cavity after I've already gutted the deer, so that you can take that intestine out completely and leave that cavity nice and clean and not risk any contamination. And having this length really aids in being able to do that. I've done it with something this short and even shorter, pocket knives like a buck 110. I've done many times, but you have to stick the handle in quite a ways to get all the way through on your larger whitetail and mule deer. So being able to keep your hands clean by getting down into the chest and getting all the way up into the throat, it's a lot better to have that length. It just keeps you cleaner and gives you more accessibility. I'll stand y'all back up now. Got the whole world moving. So I guess I'll make a different video with cutting stuff, because this video's already getting kind of long. By the way, I never do this, so forgive me. This is a one shot, one take, zero thought put into it, explanation of these two knives. because I just never saw anything online with them, and that kind of bothered me. So I thought I would help the next person out who might have been interested in purchasing one or both of these knives here. They are $10.95. I believe I forgot to mention that. So they can rust if you live in a moist environment. I do not. That's never been an issue for me. I live in the plains, so I'm on the prairie. Now, let's go ahead and call this one here and be done with it till the next one where we cut some stuff. Peace out.